What if I told you that most people will live their entire lives without ever understanding the rules required to become strong, not physically, mentally, spiritually, and the worst part, those rules already exist. They've existed for over 400 years. Written by a man who walked alone, fought over 60 duels, and at the end of his life, rejected everything, comfort, society, even romance, leaving behind only 21 principles. Today, I'm going to scientifically prove that Miyamoto Musashi's Dokkodo is not just philosophy. It is a complete operating system for your life, and Vagabond is the visual blueprint of that system in motion. My name is Kisaki. I didn't grow up with much. I was bullied, broke, and for a long time I believed I had no control over what my life would become. Anime and manga didn't just entertain me, they rewired how I saw reality. Because I kept seeing the same pattern, characters who started with nothing, who were mocked, beaten down, lost, and still chose to build themselves. After experiencing over 1,000 manga, I realized something. The best stories aren't just stories, they're frameworks for transformation, and Vagabond is one of the most powerful frameworks ever created. Today, we're breaking down all 21 principles of Dokkodo in extreme detail. Not just what they mean, but how they appear in Vagabond, how I applied them, and how you can use them to rebuild your life from the ground up. Principle 1. Accept everything just the way it is. This principle sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest to truly live by. Acceptance doesn't mean liking your situation. It doesn't mean giving up. It means removing denial so you can see clearly. Most people don't suffer because of their situation, they suffer because they refuse to accept it. They say, this shouldn't be happening, instead of asking, what can I do with this? In Vagabond, early Musashi constantly rejects reality. He wants to be acknowledged as strong, but he hasn't earned it. He wants respect, but acts recklessly. His suffering comes from the gap between who he thinks he is and who he actually is. There's a turning point where Musashi begins to observe instead of react. He sees nature, people, movement, without judgment. That's the beginning of real growth. For me, acceptance meant admitting I was lost. I wasn't disciplined. I wasn't confident. I didn't have direction. And instead of hiding from that, I faced it directly. That's when things changed. The benefit, clarity. When you accept reality, you can finally work with it instead of against it. For you, stop negotiating with reality. Accept it fully, then start building from there. Principle 2. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Pleasure becomes destructive when it becomes your goal. There's nothing wrong with enjoying life, but when you prioritize comfort over growth, you stagnate. In Vagabond, Musashi repeatedly isolates himself. He chooses hardship not because he enjoys suffering, but because he understands that comfort dulls him. There are moments where he could settle, where he could choose an easier path, but he doesn't. That's intentional. I used to chase comfort constantly. Distractions, entertainment, anything that made me feel good in the moment. But every time I chose comfort, I delayed growth. When I started limiting that, when I allowed myself to feel boredom, difficulty, even discomfort, my focus sharpened dramatically. The benefit, you regain control over your impulses. For you, ask yourself honestly, are you choosing what's easy or what's necessary? Principle 3. Do not rely on a partial feeling. Your emotions are real, but they're not always accurate. A partial feeling means reacting based on incomplete understanding. In Vagabond, Musashi's early fights are fueled by ego, anger, and pride. He rushes in without fully understanding his opponent, the situation, or even himself. That's why he struggles. As he grows, he becomes more observant. He still feels emotion, but he doesn't let it dictate his actions. He learns to pause. That pause is power. I used to react instantly, especially when I felt disrespected or frustrated. I thought reacting quickly meant strength. But it was actually weakness. Now I give myself space between feeling and action. The benefit, precision. For you, learn to not make quick assumptions without gaining full context over anything. I find that people in this day and age are quick to state opinions or even take extreme actions without even being fully certain of what they're doing. Principle 4. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. This principle is about ego reduction and awareness expansion. Musashi starts with a heavy ego. He wants to be the strongest, the greatest, but he doesn't yet understand what strength truly is. Over time, he shifts his focus outward. He studies nature, people, patterns, movement. He becomes a student of everything. When I stopped obsessing over how I was perceived and started focusing on learning, I improved faster than ever. The benefit, you become adaptable and aware. The key lesson is to be humble. We're all born as babies who know nothing, and regardless of how we've lived our lives, we will all eventually die. We all begin life and end it in the same way. Knowing that in a sense we are all equal, we need to recognize how grand life itself is. Principle 5. Be detached from desire your whole life. Desire creates attachment. Attachment creates suffering. Musashi's early obsession with being the strongest blinds him. It narrows his thinking and makes him reckless. But when he lets go of that need, when he stops trying to prove something, his growth accelerates. For me, detachment meant letting go of needing validation. I stopped chasing approval, recognition, and outcomes. I focused on the process. Ironically, that's when results started appearing. Consistency without emotional burnout. The lesson here is to remain stoic regardless of whatever happens in your life. Whether you attain what you want or you fail to attain it, be detached either way. If you are overjoyed when something good happens to you, that joy will betray you once you've lost that thing. Joy and pain are two sides of the same coin. Regardless of whether you've succeeded or failed, be as stoic and indifferent as possible. True happiness doesn't come from joy, but rather from being content and stoic. Principle 6. Do not regret what you have done. Regret traps you in the past. Musashi carries guilt from his actions, especially the lives he's taken. But he doesn't let it paralyze him. He reflects, adapts, and continues forward. I used to replay mistakes constantly. It kept me stuck. Now I extract lessons and move on. The benefit, momentum. The lesson here is just to accept that what's done is done. Keep moving forward rather than looking backwards. Principle 7. Never be jealous. Jealousy is misplaced focus. Musashi encounters stronger opponents, but instead of envying them, he studies them. Every opponent becomes a teacher. I used to compare myself constantly. It drained me. When I shifted to learning instead of comparing, everything improved. The benefit, energy is redirected into growth. For you, don't compare, analyze. Principle 8. Never let yourself be saddened by a separation. Loss is inevitable. Musashi walks alone for most of his journey. Connections come and go, but he continues forward. He sometimes regrets the fact that he left Atsu or Jotaro, but inevitably accepts his isolation. I've lost people, friends, opportunities, phases of life. At first, it felt like endings, but they were transitions. The benefit, emotional resilience. The lesson to learn here is to enjoy the times you spend with good people while remembering that the time you spend with them is limited. Eventually, everyone you know will die, and you'll eventually have to say goodbye to them. Or you will die and they'll say goodbye to you. It's sad, but accepting this harsh truth is key to spiritual enlightenment. Accept that you will eventually say goodbye to everyone you know and cherish the time you do have with them. Principle 9. Resentment and complaint are inappropriate. Complaining gives away your power. Musashi never blames the world for his struggles. I used to complain constantly about circumstances, people, life. But complaining changes nothing. Action does. The benefit, control returns to you. For you, replace complaints with solutions. Principle 10. Do not let yourself be guided by lust or love. Sometimes it's just better to be an incel. Take the incel pill. I'm partly joking with that comment, but what I am serious about is that it's better to focus on your purpose in life rather than seeking a romantic partner. Focus on your purpose always. Only weak men pursue romance over purpose. Musashi avoids attachments that would derail his path. It's why he eventually gave up on seeking out Atsu in favor of his purpose of becoming the strongest under the sun. I've made decisions based purely on emotion before and paid for it. Now I balance feeling with logic. The benefit, stability. Learn to value your purpose over romance. Principle 11. In all things have no preferences. Rigidity creates weakness. Musashi adapts to any environment, any opponent. He can use basically anything as a weapon. I used to need perfect conditions to act. Now I act regardless. The benefit? Flexibility. For you, train yourself to perform in any situation. Principle 12. Be indifferent to where you live. Environment matters, but it shouldn't control you. Musashi thrives anywhere. I stopped blaming my environment and started improving within it. The benefit? Independence. For you, build internal strength. Principle 13. Do not pursue the taste of good food, control indulgence. Musashi lives simply. I reduced excess in my life, food, entertainment, distractions. I'm also literally water fasting while writing this video to discipline my body and for spiritual enlightenment. The benefit? Clarity. For you, reduce unnecessary pleasures. Beyond that, obesity is a huge problem in the USA. Think of food not as something to enjoy, but rather as medicine. Eat to live, do not live to eat. Principle 14. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. Attachment creates weight. Musashi owns very little. I decluttered my life physically and mentally. This is freedom. Let go of what no longer serves you. Principle 15. Do not act following customary beliefs. Think independently. Musashi breaks tradition constantly. I stopped blindly following what others expected. That's when I started growing. The benefit? Authenticity. Question everything. We live in a day and age where everyone is afraid to say what they think or act out of line because of the surveillance state and cancel culture. No one dares to live authentically. What I have to say to that is fuck that man. It's better to be hated for who you are than loved as a faker. Any love you receive as a faker is fake love. Be willing to question your culture's beliefs and customs. Principle 16. Do not collect weapons or practice excessively beyond what is useful. Efficiency over excess. Musashi focuses on mastery of swords, not accumulation of many swords. I used to overconsume information without applying it. Now I focus on execution. Principle 17. Do not fear deaths. Fear limits action. Musashi accepts death as part of life. I stopped fearing failure and started taking risks. The benefit? Opportunity. For you, act despite fear. Life is merely a journey to the grave. This principle reminds me of memento mori. Memento mori is a Latin phrase that means remember that you will die. At first, it sounds dark, but it's actually one of the most practical and grounding philosophies ever created. The history, quick and clean memento mori, comes from ancient Rome, especially from the Stoic tradition. There's a famous story. When a Roman general won a huge victory and was paraded through the city, a servant would stand behind him and whisper, "Memento mori." Why? Because even at the highest moment of success, they wanted him to remember, you are still human. You are still mortal, this moment will pass. Later, Stoic philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius expanded on this idea. They used it as a daily mental practice, not to be pessimistic, but to stay grounded, focused, and intentional. What it actually means beyond you'll die, memento mori isn't about fearing death. It's about using the awareness of death to sharpen how you live. If your time is limited, and it is then, wasting it becomes harder to justify. Petty problems become smaller. Your priorities become clearer. It forces a simple question. If I'm going to die one day, what actually matters? How it benefits your life. It destroys procrastination when you truly internalize that time is finite. I'll do it later starts to feel dangerous. Later isn't guaranteed, so you act now. It reduces anxiety about small things. Most things people stress about, embarrassment, opinions, minor failures, lose weight when compared to the scale of life itself. You stop overthinking, it clarifies priorities. You naturally start focusing on meaningful work, real relationships. Personal growth and less on distractions. It increases gratitude. When you realize moments are limited, you stop taking them for granted. Even ordinary days feel more valuable. It builds courage. Fear of failure weakens when you understand the bigger picture. You start thinking, if I'm going to die anyway, why not try? Simple way to apply it, you don't need to overcomplicate this. Just ask yourself one question regularly. If today mattered more than I think it does, what would I do differently? Then do that. Memento mori isn't about death. It's about urgency, clarity, and living intentionally. Or as the great philosopher Socrates once said, if you spend your whole life choosing comfort, death will be the only thing that surprises you. And scientifically speaking, that's hard to argue with. Principle 18. Do not seek to possess goods or fiefs for your old age. Don't delay living. Musashi lives fully in the present. I stopped postponing life for someday. The benefit, fulfillment, for you start now. Principle 19. Respect Buddha and the gods without counting on their help. Don't rely on luck. As is written in the Bible, don't put the Lord your God to the test. Musashi respects spirituality, but relies on himself. Personally, I pray to God as much as I can, but I try to never unjustifiably put my God to a test. Principle 20. You may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. Integrity above comfort. Musashi values honor over survival. It's better to die than to dishonor your life. There is more to living than your flesh. The best way to live is to place honor above all else. For you, do what's right even when it's hard. Principle 21. Never stray from the way. Fulfill your purpose in life despite fears or doubts about your quality of life. Musashi's entire life is built on this. I built habits and stuck to them. The benefit, transformation. For you, stay consistent. All in all, what Dokkōdō can teach you is that philosophy is not optional. As the great philosopher Socrates once said, if a man charges his phone to 100% but still feels empty, the problem is not the battery, it is the man, which is undeniably scientific. If you don't choose one, you'll inherit one, from society, from your environment, from people who may not even know what they're doing. Vagabond stands out because it doesn't just show growth, it forces you to confront yourself. It shows that becoming invincible isn't about defeating others. It's about understanding yourself so deeply that nothing can shake you. Miyamoto Musashi's Dokkodo is the clearest path to that state. Not easy, not comfortable, but effective. When I started applying these principles, even imperfectly, my life changed. I became more focused, more disciplined, less reactive, not because life became easier, but because I became stronger. That's the shift. You don't need to change everything at once. Start with one principle, apply it today, then repeat tomorrow, because change isn't motivation, it's repetition. And yes, this entire breakdown was scientifically proven. As the great philosopher Socrates once said, a man who knows the path but does not walk it is simply sightseeing. I'm Kisaki. Subscribe if you want more scientific breakdowns like this. So stop watching, start walking, and I'll see you in the next one.